We will call our meeting to order, the North City of North Plains Library Board. It's June 18th, 2025 at 6 p.m. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, and
We do have a little
there's our
flag
flag.
here, so.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. Trista, we have some, or Counselor Hafen, we have some chairs. Hello. Yeah.
So, next item is roll call. We'll start with the folks on Zoom. And we'll introduce ourselves to our guests, if we could, as we go around. So, Allie, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little something about you?
Hi, I'm Allie Pollock. I'm just starting my second term on the board, and I live in the city. And I am a teacher on summer break, but starting off with a cold.
Oh, no. Thank you.
And Larry Gonzalez, I am a resident of North Plains, and that's all I have.
And Bridget?
I'm Bridget Sorensen. I've been on the board for some time. And I'm outside of the city.
Nate?
I'm David Hatcher. I live in North Plains. This is my second time on the board. I did 2 terms years ago, so I think this is my 3rd month on the board, the second time.
And I'm assuming Robin, you,
I'm Robin Doty, the library director. And,
I'm Tim Shalak, and I'm this is my 4th year on the board, and the city was kind enough, the council, to appoint me for another 4 years. If you're unaware, we're each allowed, according to our bylaws, to serve 2 4-year consecutive terms. But that doesn't mean after 4 years, you can't come back. David has, so I'm a representative of outside the city. And I've been around North Plains for about 12 years. Okay. We'll go on, Councilwoman Pappas, could you introduce yourself?
Hello, thank you. My name is Trista Papin. I'm with North Plains City Council. I've been a resident for 11 years now. I've been on council appointed back in 2019 and re-elected, and just love North Plains, and bought a house. I sold a house, bought another house in North Plains, and the ultimate dream is to live just a little bit further out with some property and still within North Plains. So it's definitely a place that we've established some roots. So
Great.
thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you for attending. We appreciate the support the city council gives us. We pretty much have a city officer up in the count from the city council every meeting. It's been, a lot of boards that I've been with, they have a lot of responsibilities, and they don't always make the library board, but our city council is very supportive with our budget and with all that we do, and we believe that part of that is because the city council and the citizens of North Plains and the surrounding areas are very proud of the library that we built and put together, and the growth that's shown under Robin's leadership. So.
Yeah, okay. Emily Waldron. I'm planning to be on the library board. I would love to be. I've been around North Plains since I was born. I live in my grandparents' house. We're just outside of town, and they moved here. They bought their land in the 50s and they moved out in the 70s. So I live on a tree farm, and it's beautiful and lovely. And my grandparents were really involved in the city. Paul and Donna Kunkel. So I was happy to be able to take their home after they passed away. I don't know how much, like, I have a ton of things I could talk about, but I feel like it's a way probably for my interview. So
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be here and happy to learn more and just
Okay,
excited. to
Thank
be
you. We welcome you here.
I'm Megan Poole. I live just right down the road in the city limits. I am also a teacher on summer break. I was sick last weekend.
No,
This
no.
weekend, so that's good. But it's a weird brag. I think a lot of my friends and family are like, okay, cool, Megan. That I love talking about how I can walk to the library and get my books. And I use the interlibrary loan system a lot, and it just brings me so much joy. And so when I saw this come up, I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to try to be more involved with the library. So, that's
Thank you.
It's like this.
Chair Kim,
Elaine's up there,
excuse
too.
me, but Elaine joined
Elaine?
us.
You like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Sorry, I am not at the meeting because I have a
No.
virus and my my voice comes and goes. I'm Elaine Bufal. I have been volunteering at the library for a little over a year and with Emily West and doing story time. I was preschool teacher for 30 years, so it was a good fit for me. I really enjoy the library. I like that it's small, that people come and go and enjoy it. The families we've had attending story time come from all over. We have several that come from Bethany, and it's just such a nice place to be. I'm sorry, I did forget to mention, I actually live outside of the district. I live in Rock Creek, and I've lived in the Portland area since 1976. Sorry, my voice keeps leaving.
No problem. So, thank you. Okay. Think we got everyone? Yes. Okay, the next item on our agenda is our consent agenda, which is both approval of last month's minutes and review and approval for tonight's agenda. Is any changes or anything that's needs to be changed on last month's minutes? How about anything of additions or for tonight's agenda? Okay, I need a motion.
Well, one addition that maybe we should discuss,
Oh.
Donna, something for Donna.
Okay, all right.
Point of order, unfortunately, we can't add to the agenda after 5 PM on the Friday
Okay.
before, but we
Oh,
could
okay.
move things around or.
Yeah.
But
We we can do that offline, I think.
I think
Okay,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Donna's another member, an outside city board member. She couldn't be here tonight, but this was her final board meeting, so we'd like to send her off with our appreciation for the service that she's provided. Okay,
So I move to adopt the consent agenda, please.
do I have a second?
I second.
Second, we have a motion to, and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
I,
Okay.
My other right
Opposed?
hand.
Okay, so that's my food. Next thing is, do we have any public comment, Robin, or anything you've received or?
So my email's on the agenda to send comment to me and I didn't receive any in advance. And I haven't heard anything from the city recorder either. So
Okay.
as per usual.
No, we don't receive too much public comment, so. The next item is the library director's report for June.
Thank you. I'll share my screen. Okay. So first I'll update you on summer reading. According to Brianna, so once we are librarian, we're at over 350 kids who've signed up, and when they sign up, they get to choose a free brand new book to keep to start their summer reading. And they have a log to set a goal, and when they finish their goal, they can come back and receive a second free book as a reward, and that's thanks to the support of the Friends of the North Plains Library, and also WCCLS provides some of those books.
Do you have any idea how many there was last year? Just for comparison,
I think we were at about 600 total last
but
year.
the summer's just beginning too.
Oh, yeah, it's only been a little over 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Since it started. So we did attend the ice cream social and signed up about 200 kids there. It was a really packed ice cream social this year. And we had someone from WCCLS staff, that's Washington County Cooperative Library Services. They sent someone to join us at our table, and they brought a lot of great giveaways. The branded merch from WCCLS, and that was fun. And the bags they brought came in handy. Because a lot of kids signed up and got logs and pencils and all that. And books. So, yeah, that'll continue all summer long. We are closed tomorrow. We're observing Juneteenth. That's a newer, federal holiday. So, we had some social media go out and some signs up. So, because it's still a newer, observance, sometimes we want to make sure people know why we're closed. And then we just have a great lineup of programs. So we've had so far our OMSI kickoff event at Jessie Mays, which had about 60 attendees. And then we had a teen program, which was felting. That looked so cute. And I don't have the number of attendees, but that was last week. And then coming up, we have Dances of India at Jessie Mays. And we have tabletop gaming miniature painting class by one of our staff. And then I'm so excited about the July 3rd summer picnic with the Glencoe High School band. Emily West's son, Braden, is in the band, and so she helped coordinate that. And she's also helped coordinate them be in the Garlic Festival Parade the last 2 years, and that's been a really wonderful addition. Anything else to report that's come up? I'll just say that the city budget was adopted on Monday at city council. So the budget committee approved the budget, then it went to council for adoption. It's the city budget and also the urban renewal agency budget. So those were adopted Monday and without changes. So we do have our a fully funded status quo library budget to maintain our current services. That's great. I think that's about all I have for my report for letter A.
Since we're on the city's on a biannual budget. And with the proposed thing for the levy for Washington County Cooperative and our possibility for increased funding from the library, what would happen? What have you discussed? How does that? You go to the library and then the library would. Some of that money then would stay in the general fund of the city, or how, what is the?
Yeah, our budget, the budget approval means that this is what is adopted or approved that we could spend over the next biennium. It doesn't mean the money can't come from somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like the revenue, could change, but we're not gonna spend differently.
Okay,
So yes, what would happen is that instead of all that coming from the general fund, when our allocation increases, which it should, then that basically the second year of the biennium, it's only less from the general fund, more from the county.
okay.
Under the new, but we still have a few steps before that because the levy must pass, and then we also need to enter into a new agreement with the county, intergovernmental agreement for being a member of the cooperative.
I,
And so,
I asked that question because I think in the past that the city was on an annual budget. And so it's sort of all would have come over rather than the county's budget, and their contribution will be right in the middle of the city budget.
it will,
But there's-
it'll change in the middle.
So that's something new,
Mhm.
that's something, new. So thank you for the explanation.
You're welcome. I'm just wanting to make sure that we don't have another person trying to come in. Cause we have one person missing, but, let me just double check really quick. I don't see anyone waiting, alright.
So we have, next to be the library statistics.
Sure, so I did print a couple copies just so that you could share if you didn't have them. And I'll then share them again. So this is our dashboard of all the things the library provides in a given month with our budget. So this was from May, and you can see that how many items are borrowed from our location. Then there's another large number that is how many items are borrowed from our collection. So those are different because one is people who actually check out items from our library, and one is like, you know, our books could go to Cedar Mill and someone could check it out there, for example. So you can see that people like our items. They go and check out other places. The TBA number, this is a statistic we have to wait and get from WCCLS, and it has been lagging and it's been TBA the last few times, so we're hoping that they can start posting that a little earlier, but have been going back and filling it in when we get it. Trying to think. I'm trying to remember what a typical number is. 900 sessions or so. And so this is people using our free internet access, either on the public computers or through the Wi-Fi, not staff. No. So basically our spending goes towards our 52 open hours a week, and our items. And so the items we, have a procurement process, they come in, they're cataloged and processed here. And, so that is where another, chunk of our spending is. And then the other, chunk of our spending is free public programming. So our story times and programs and events, our summer reading program and so forth. Those are just kind of like the three buckets of, where the library spends money. It all pretty much just goes right back to the community. And we also have a volunteer program, so we use staff time to coordinate that, which is a wonderful community engagement. That's how we have some of our board members who started as volunteers.
Any questions on that, on statistics? Okay, I can't see hands, so if
Oh.
you have a question, you'll need to speak
Sorry.
up.
I'll stop sharing, because I did print a giant copy of the budget for you all. And you can't see it anyway if I have it on the screen.
You can.
So, if you would like to
Oh, I've got.
pass it around or look at it, that's our, budget report, and we're getting close to the end of the biennium. So, and just, you all are probably getting tired of me pointing out the same things, but I'll just, say that, we vastly underestimated how many grants and donations we would get in this biennium because we had an opportunity to get the Library Transforming Communities
Go ahead,
grant
you
from the
can
American
finish.
Library Association. And so, in our revenue area, you can see that we have a lot more than we had anticipated. And what you can't see in there is that our library department fund balance, that was like a beginning balance there at the top. 20,000 of that was another round of that grant that we got the very end of the previous budget cycle. I don't know, the captions are in Ally's face. I gotta move that. Sorry, Ally. And, so that we spent it in the current biennium. But in order to spend this money, we had to put it in we have to show everything that comes in, everything that goes out. So we have a grants expenditure line, that we didn't budget to spend out of, that we've spent these grant funds out of. So that makes our bottom line look a little funny. But again, it's just because this was unanticipated income that is restricted to a certain thing. We can't use it for like our regular operations. We have to use it for what we promised to use it for the grant. So, but even with all the inflation and increased costs for materials and so forth, we still have come in within budget, which I'm really proud of. So it looks like we'll end the year. I mean, if we're a little over, it's just because of the grant, not anything else.
To be honest, we'd love to be a little confused and over because that means Robin and her team were successful getting the grant. And then,
Yeah.
and so we can spend that money as defined, restricted by the grant. So we don't really worry about that discrepancy. The more it is, the happier we are, basically. And so their team does a good job applying for grants.
We had three larger grants in this budget cycle besides the Ready to Read grant. That's sort of an allocation from the state. And so that was really good.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
The grants that you get, are they mainly state grants or are they federal grants?
I
Mixed
try
in?
to avoid federal grants personally because they're very, very staff intensive. So the two larger grants we got, we had two $20,000 grants. Those were from the American Library Association and the Association for Small and Rural Libraries. And they made it a very accessible application and process. And that was one of the reasons I applied. And they also asked us to apply because it was especially for small and rural libraries. Then we also got a grant from the Washington County Cultural Coalition and also from the Oregon Humanities. Those were the places we got grants. And we get the Ready to Read funds are from the state. That's part of the state's budget. A way to promote early literacy is by giving a certain allocation to every public library in Oregon. But we do apply for it. I mean, Emily does that, Emily West.
Okay, any other questions on the financial report? Okay, moving on to ongoing business, since this is the county library cooperative system is on the ballot this year for renewal of their I forget what's the their tax rate is.
The tax levy?
Tax levy,
Yeah.
yeah, is on the ballot this year. We've been following that, plus Washington County. I don't know if they do this every tax levy, but this tax levy, the Board of Commissioners decided to hire a consulting firm and go through the library, the cooperative library system and see what needs can be improved and to make sure that it is servicing the needs of the libraries within the county. So we've been following this throughout the year.
It's a multi-year project, correct? So I report on it as a standing agenda item. And the update I have is from about the levy. We haven't met for the another work session. Nothing new to report from any work sessions, but I did attend the informational session for staff on the upcoming levy. There's a WCCLS levy and a public Washington County Public Safety Levy on the November ballot. And so I attended the informational session in Hillsborough, about it. And, I will be trained to give some presentations around town or at organizations. And that also they're sending staff to one of our council meetings to, give our council information. So you'll be seeing more about that coming up. They haven't said when our council session is scheduled yet, but they're working directly with the city recorder for that. That's what they said. And so the library board will have a role in advocating for the library levy, because it's a really important part of our funding. And we do serve a service area that goes all the way up to, touches to other counties. And so it's a large service area that we have. It's and so we have county funds in addition to city funds.
Anything on the county?
That was my update, was about the levy information session.
So it'll probably be a couple months before we get somebody here talking about it. Do you think?
Well,
When it gets
they
closer to
actually
the time?
intended to do one more round of polling, a third
Oh,
round
okay.
of polling, which is a lot.
Yeah,
But they just, because, things are a bit tumultuous, politically and federally and whatnot, they wanted to just, check in, I guess, like one more time before they referred it to the ballot and make sure that the rate is palatable for people
Right.
and so forth. So yeah, that final round of polling isn't till later this summer.
oh, so we probably won't hear from somebody until like September, October.
That's so late. I'm
Yeah.
not I think it'll be before that,
Okay,
but I can't say for sure.
So they're trying to put it on the November ballot?
yeah,
Okay, yeah, it's gotta be
I know,
yeah.
it's a little late in
Yeah.
levy
even,
world,
yeah,
but. Right. They need to figure out.
that, when they started this, I thought, I was expecting something sooner than that.
Mhm.
They were charging.
Well, it's about a 2-year process, for a levy measure, so.
And they had two different options, didn't they, if I remember correctly, for how much they were gonna ask for.
Yeah. So we will provide information about it, but we don't tell people how to vote, obviously. Not board members or staff. We can give people information. And you can, as an individual, recommend people vote a certain way, but you can't represent the board and tell people to vote a certain way. So we'll go over those restrictions as it gets closer. But we will have a role in providing information in the library, and you all can certainly campaign as individuals. I think you're all connected with the PAC and so forth, so.
Thanks. Good. Anything else? Okay, next thing on the agenda is our interview of library board applicants.
Okay.
And
So we do have one person who, we did do a test Zoom earlier today that was successful, but she's not here. And she was under the weather, so maybe she wasn't able
And
to
that
join
was-
us. I haven't heard anything.
and that was,
Otherwise. Pauline Rosado.
okay.
Yeah.
So. We thank you. For the three of you for application, it's sort of new to us, we have not had quite so many applicants
It's
before.
lovely, it's wonderful.
There were 3 that one time.
Yeah,
I have a question, please, before we start.
Yeah.
So how many openings, and are they in the city, out of the city? What are we looking
Oh, sorry about that. We have a 7-member library board. And we can have up to 3 outside the city. We don't have a certain number that have to be, like some boards has to be an exact ratio or something. But we can, because our service area is, doesn't just include the city limits, we have the 3 representatives. So because Ally, who's in the city limits, and Tim, who is not, were reappointed, we have 1 position available that can be in or out.
So-
Because
so-
Donna's
so
not
we're
one,
looking at one position.
Right.
Okay,
because Donna has not
Did not
asked
be
for
able-
her reappointment.
Yes, and Donna currently lives outside the city, so, but this position, we can go either way.
Okay.
Any other questions?
so I'm sorry, so it's Donna basically that
Donna's
She's a-
permitted
is
to-
a position that we're filling.
Yes,
Okay.
Donna's, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, she's excused tonight, but is,
Yeah.
Well, just for future reference, is there any other upcoming, empty seats in the near future? That's what I thought. When am I done?
yours is up on June 2026.
Hold on a minute.
What?
Where?
Cause I had you and Donna mixed up.
Oh, that's right.
One thing that happened, the city council gave us a couple of years ago permission to expand the board.
Right,
And
it was
so
fine.
it was 5, now we're at 7, so. The reason that we actually had 3 positions at this time is because we added the 2 board members at the time. Otherwise, we tried to stagger. them,
Yeah, we were
but
supposed to stagger better. I
And
think.
we didn't quite work out. So that's why we have.
Okay,
3
thank-
positions.
Thank you.
Oh, she's here. So she's only on the phone,
Okay.
which we tested earlier. Hi Pauline, can you hear me?
And
I have to ask her to unmute. We figured
Okay.
out.
Can you,
Starting.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I tried on the phone 15 times and couldn't get through. So I said, well, let me try this to see if it worked. And lo and behold, it did.
Good. Well, we just started this agenda item, so good timing. And
Okay.
Chair Tim is just talking about the
Yeah. I think she had a question. too.
no.
No.
Yes.
Oh, I just wanted to clarify, because I also had a question about the terms and when they ended, and it looks like on the city website, it looks like, board member Sorensen's term ends in 2027 instead of 2026, and I just wanted to
No, I better double.
put that
check
on your
my
radar in
records.
case it's a
It seems like
typo.
I've been here for 10 years. Are you sure?
You were here when I left.
I could be off a year, so I will.
Totally,
double
just
check
wanted
that.
to mention it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, we thank you for your applications and what we have here. We have a list of 7 questions that we have developed. And we will ask each of you the 7, all 7 questions. And, I think the easiest thing is that I would ask, I'll just ask the questions. Unless you everybody wants to answer.
Oh, but just because everybody else had a chance to introduce themselves with Pauline,
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Did you want me?
So, and I have just a second before that, I have I just have a random stack here, so we'll just go on. We'll go in the order of my random stack, if that's okay. So Polly, I'm Tim Shalik, I'm the board chair. I've been on the board for 4 years now, I've served one term, and I am gonna serve another 4-year term. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, I'm Pauline Rosato. I live in North Plains. I've lived here for 8 years. I came from California up to this beautiful little town, and I've enjoyed it very much, being here, and the people here are so great.
Thank you. So there's, we have our, three other applicants. We have a city councilman, Trista. And we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 board members here. We have Ally, Larry, David, Bridget and Tim, and then we have the library director, Rob. So we'll get started, and Elaine, you are on the top of my pile, so you get to be the first one.
Top of the heap.
Yes, so. We
The joys of
appreciate,
having a name that starts with a B.
okay. So, we appreciate you filling out the 3 questions and applying. Our first question is, what do you understand to be the role of the library board member?
I would think to expand knowledge about the library and the community, and help establish new programs and help keep ongoing programs going.
The next question would be, how do you see the library's role in serving the diverse needs of North Plains, of our community?
I just think having programs that include a variety of people and ages is the best way to bring people in.
Great, thank you. Next question is, how do you approach working with a group of people who have different opinions than yourself?
I had 6 children.
That's a good answer.
I also owned a preschool and had a staff that I coordinated with, and we often had differences of opinion. I don't have a problem with people having a different opinion. I think it expands how things get done.
Can you share an example from your past and how you've contributed to a community organization in the past?
I have not been involved in a formal community organization in the past. My preschool had children and families from mostly Western Washington County. So that I said, I think that would be the way. Oh, and I take that back. I was on the ARC board for a few years when that was more active than it is now, because my program served children with disabilities as well as typical children.
Next, what does the public library mean to you personally and as part of a community?
Oh, I think it can be the center of a lot of things. And I think the other thing I have really noticed, and I mentioned it before, was this library in particular seems to attract families from outside of the city. And I think that says a lot for the library.
And the last question, this question will be, how would you advocate for the library's value to the broader community or the city council?
How would I advocate? I don't know that I have a clear answer for that. If things came up where I was needed to help, that's when I'd be more than willing to step in.
Okay. So now, does any board member need clarification and would like to ask a question of Elaine? Okay, so Elaine, your last question is, we've asked you questions. What would you like us to know about you that we don't know?
I actually came to volunteering because of Carol Lofgren. I had wanted to, after I retired, I was looking for something to keep me a little busy. And I had thought about the library, and I went and visited the Cedar Mill Library, which is a lovely library, but it was a lot of people. And Carol at the time said to me, why don't you go out to North Plains? So I did, and I really enjoyed my time out there.
Great. All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any of you care to ask questions or?
I volunteer with her, so.
Well,
I know.
No, I mean to ask our next.
Right,
applicant.
right.
okay, because clearly, because I was reading her form here and she's volunteered at our library, is that?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh, okay,
She does story time with Emily.
Okay.
West.
yeah. Thank you.
All right, Megan, you.
Right.
What do you understand to be the role of a library board member?
I think that, sort of similarly to like a school board or, just a board for an organization, kind of understanding, how community members can better support, governmental or non-governmental organization and, kind of being not really a conduit, but just kind of making it, being an opportunity for citizens to better understand what happens in the library and for the library to better understand what citizens are looking for from the library.
Thank you. How do you see the library's role in serving the diverse needs of our community?
I think especially in a community like this one where we're kind of a little bit far removed from Portland metro area, even though we're part of the Portland metro area. I just think that the programming and the folks in our community that the programming represents, like there's always I feel like there's always something new to learn from the library programming, which I think is really cool. And I think a really great opportunity for a community that is a little bit smaller like ours and doesn't have as quick access to broader cultural events or communities or things like that. So I think it's really cool.
How do you approach working with a group of people who have different opinions than yours?
When she said she has 6 kids, I'm a middle school teacher, so my opinion is often not only invalid but irrelevant. So trying to work with kids and sort of, I think understanding their point of view is really important, and I think we can get a really long way by just with middle schoolers telling them like, I hear you, and also, maybe this, but also, you know, I work with adults too, and I've been a union for our teachers union, a building representative, and that has given me a lot of practice in just working with someone and working to get an outcome that is good for them, that I don't really have any stakes in, and trying to kind of understand how to be a good communicator in that. I think it's really important you can learn a lot from other people who have different points of view and things like that. And so just being open-minded, I think is really important.
Thank you. Can you share an example of how you contributed to a community organization in the past?
This was a long time ago, but I used to volunteer with Smart Readings. Like I said, this is a long time ago. And I would just go and read with kindergartners. That was a lot of fun. And then in our school community, I do a lot of, it's part of my job, but it's in addition to my, like I'm in the building, the same building that I work in, but it's after contract hours. So I do soccer club or volleyball club or things like that. I help with the science fair and things like that. So a lot of stuff like that with kids and families.
Yeah, thank you. What does the public library mean to you personally and as part of the community?
I am just so like It's as cheesy as it sounds, like the joy going to the library. It's like Christmas when I open my email. Sometimes I'm like, oh, 3 books that I've ordered have come in. This is so exciting. I have to go to the library now. And it's just our library is such a welcoming place, and it's like it's a little bit smaller than some of the bigger libraries, and it's very inviting. And I mostly access, like I said, borrowing books and things like that. But I really think that this is a good opportunity. I've lived in North Plains for 7 years now. And I think it's a really good opportunity. Like, I've gotten so much from the library that I think it would be great to be more involved in the library and help sort of support all of the stuff that the library does for our community. So it means a lot to me.
Great, thank you. How would you advocate for the library's value to the broader community and the city council?
A little bit of experience. Like I said, I've been pretty involved in our teachers union in the past and going forward. So, and I'm very, like I said, I'm a teacher, so I don't have I am very comfortable just sort of talking with people and getting their point of view, and talking about kind of it sounds weird saying it as a school, but like our stance, like as a school, like we want you to get an education, and that's why you're here. And I'm sorry you're upset that you have to sit in the chair for 30 minutes, but we can work together and we can do this. So yeah, and it's like I said, my answer to the previous question, it's really important to me. The library is, and the continued funding, not only as a library, but as a community organization, that it receives a lot of support. And so that is something I can certainly get behind. And whatever opportunities arose where I would need to do that or want to do that, that would be great.
Thank you. Now, does any of the board members have any questions they would like to ask or seek clarification?
So how long have you been teaching?
This is my 9th year.
The same school or
Yeah.
which school?
Middle Park Middle School
Oh.
right across from the Nike.
Oh, okay. I
Right
know what
down
you mean.
off the Murray
Yeah,
Murray
yeah.
exit. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
My wife went to that school,
She went there?
45.
Wow, that is
Before your
really.
time.
I have a couple of people who have gone to Meadow Park. I work with a couple people who have gone to Meadow Park, but it's so interesting. It's been
Yeah.
for a long time, since the 60s.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Any other questions or clarifications? Okay, so what would you like us to know about you,
Oh, that's a.
that we haven't discussed so far?
I think, like I said in one of my answers, I'm really looking for ways to sort of get more involved in our community. I feel like I'm at a point in my life where, my job is kind of, like I kind of know what's going on there, and we moved here years ago, and so I kind of know what's going on there. And so I feel like I'm at a good point to sort of actually become part of our community and things like that. I also love reading. I don't know if that wasn't
That is a
obvious
biggie.
by my, no, I know it's not necessary. But yeah, so I always love to talk about books and gardening and things like that. So
Thank you.
yeah, thank you guys.
Pauline, you're next.
Pauline, I'm gonna ask you to unmute again because I muted you during the other part.
Okay, thank you.
You
Can you
did-
hear
you
me?
did it.
Can you hear
Yeah.
me? I'm kind of raspy and I don't know what I've got,
Yes.
but
Yeah, you got the same thing that's going around, I think.
So, thank you for putting in your application, Pauline, and the interest in the board. We appreciate that.
thank you.
Your first question is, what do you understand to be the role of a library board member?
To probably give input on what things should be done and how it works, to make a difference, pretty much make a difference in what I think and what, I believe in, and to help out as much as I can to make our library a very productive one.
Good, thank you. How do you see the library's role in serving the diverse needs of our community?
Oh, that's so important. Um, Being Hispanic myself, it's always good that we have an inclusive board and that we see other cultures and welcome other cultures in our area, and to make sure that each culture is welcomed in our library.
Thank you. How do you approach working with a group of people who have different opinions?
Oh, I am a speech major. I love debate and good, clean, wholesome debate and seeing what everybody has to offer, and that nobody has the wrong answer. We all are right in our own ways, but we learn from each other, because if you don't learn from each other, you don't have anything.
Can you please share an example of how you've contributed to a community organization in the past?
Well, I used to volunteer in my kids' school libraries. And if I saw a child struggling reading, I would go sit down with them and help them read. Being dyslexic, I had to work on learning how to read. And if it wasn't for a 11th grade teacher who taught me how to change my letters, I would have never known how to read. And reading is so important for me that when my children were born, I made sure I taught them right. And I would do that for every child, every person that is struggling.
Thank you. What does the public library mean to you personally and as part of a community?
Oh, gee. Okay. Um, it's very important. Reading is so important in life. We see so many statistics that kids are not reading up to grade level, or they're not reading, and there's adults, maybe even in my situation, that are dyslexic and they don't know how to read. And if I'm there to help, it makes me feel good that I am doing something important for our community.
How would you advocate for the library's value to the broader community and the city council?
That's a good one. Basically, I would tell everybody how important a library is in a community. If we didn't have libraries, it would be hard for people to get a book to learn, or even a cookbook if they wanted to learn how to make a different ethnic dinner. That the library has so many things to offer. And I would advocate for that, so that this way people know they can come and get any type of book in a library, read it, bring it, and learn.
Thank you. Any other board members have additional questions or a question for clarification?
Well, how long have you lived in North Plains, Pauline?
8 years.
And you live in the city limits?
I live right here I live in Highland Court Apartments. So I'm right next to McDonald's.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any last question is, what would you like us to know about you that we really haven't asked about?
Oh, geez. I love to cook, and I do love to read. And sometimes I like to joke around, in a good way.
Well, great, again, thank you. Okay. Emily, as you can, process of elimination, hopefully you realize that you're next.
No, that's nerve wracking, saying going last. Should have gone last.
But you already know the question, so
Yeah.
I'll just,
And I just remembered you have a time constraint. I'm sorry.
We're good. I got 30 minutes, so we're,
Oh, okay.
we're good.
Okay.
So don't quit, huh?
so, first question is, Emily, what do you understand to be the role of a library board member?
I think the easiest way to sum it up is just an advocate. So an advocate in here of the community amongst ourselves. An advocate, like we were saying, with going to city council, with going out to the community and, helping people understand if they don't understand why they need the library, what's available at the library. I know, I don't want to bring in a ton of political things, but I know it's going to be harder for libraries with funding going forward in a lot of times, just based on administrative changes. And so I think there's also a piece that board members can and should participate in of making sure the library has what it needs to function. And that whether it's helping to write grants or going to specific people to ask if they would donate for an event that's happening or money that we need or different stuff. It's part of the board to make sure that it can keep going and keep doing what it needs to.
Okay, thank you. How do you see the library's role in serving the diverse needs of our community?
At the heart of everything, like looking here in North Plains. I think the library and the park are the only two places that you can go and not spend money and meet with someone or watch a book or read a movie or just exist in some air conditioning for a little while on a hot day. This is it. And it's libraries more and more are becoming this community space and this community center. I work as a social worker, and the amount of times that I've met with clients who don't have a home or they can't get to my office. So I've booked a room in a library and we've been able to go there and meet, or adult education classes for, I've sent a lot of people like to ESL programs, to citizenship classes, to computer literacy. Like the library is such a hub for all of that to happen.
How do you approach working with a group of people who have different opinions than yourself?
I married someone who's the opposite of me, so. I think a lot of times it's patience and making sure that I'm listening to really listen and to hear the other person out. Whether it's in a time like this or like at work with a client or with my spouse, I'm not listening to respond, but really assuming the best of the other person's intent and just listening to what they're trying to say and where they're coming from. And usually where we need to go is somewhere in the middle of where the two of us are.
Great. Can you share an example of how you've contributed to a community organization in the past?
Yeah, it's hard to think of one. I think most recently would be at my daughter's school with helping to run the school auction. She goes to the Waldorf School in Cornelius, and we this year managed to raise enough money to fund a Spanish teacher for the school for next year, which is really exciting. Other times it's been like as a college student volunteering at elementary schools in Portland with kids in reading, or I did community organizing in Hillsborough with farm workers. So it's, yeah, I haven't been as good about volunteering in the library, but when it comes to the greater community, I've done a lot of different things.
Okay, great, thank you. What does the public library mean to you personally and as part of a community?
Personally, I think we all would agree with this, that libraries are magic. Ever since I was a little kid, I've always loved the library. I did not always have the easiest home life, and so the library and books was a way to escape a lot of things. I think the library and the way it does so much for people, it allows us to see someone else's viewpoint and this, to develop empathy as adults and as children, to learn about different people and places, to have knowledge of facts or read fiction stories. Like there's just I don't know how many hours we have that I can talk about how much a library means, but I just think like a library is such a special place. And I love that here in North Plains, we have a library. And I also love that our library is not just limited to city limits. I have a friend who lives in Eugene, and she at the time was just outside the city limits. And after, days and weeks, I would stay with her during grad school of convincing her to go get a library card because it's important. We went to the library, and their library was for city limit people only. They don't have a county
Wow.
library system in Lynn County.
Wow.
So if she wanted to join the library, it would have been, I think, like $150 subscription for the year. Because she didn't live in town. And so I think here in North Plains, we have something unique with our library that it doesn't matter where you are or where you come from, you can participate in the library.
Mhm.
Interesting. How would you advocate for the library's value to the broader community and the city council?
I can't think of I think there's advocating with what just happened with the budget and with making sure that the needs we have are addressed. I'm pretty comfortable going to city council meetings and giving comment or voicing opinions, or I think a lot of times if we have to advocate and people don't understand, or they're opposed, it's more that they just don't get what's happening. So listening about preparing for the levy and having to talk to people about the levy. A lot of it, I'm sure, is going to be going to community spaces, whether it's the senior center or Jessie Mays Park on a Saturday or something, just to talk to people about what it is and to hear what they're saying and it's not about changing their mind or convincing them, but it's just about giving them the information and helping them to understand and to feel like they know what's happening. And, if they're worried about extra money on their taxes, making sure they understand what the benefit would be for them and why they should do it.
Okay, great. Does any board member have additional questions or need any clarifications of the question?
I have one. I forget, are you in town or out of town or?
I am out of town. I'm right off of Mason Hill Road, so I think it took me
Okay.
6 minutes to get here today.
Okay, thank you.
So how long have you lived in the area?
I bought my house, so I've lived properly here now, just visiting family, for 4 years.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, good.
next week hit our 4-year anniversary.
Okay, and you said that you know how to talk to people because you and your spouse are on different sides of the road. How long have you been married?
We saw, yeah, I don't think the records.
No, I'm sorry. Oh, that was a joke.
Something that I didn't even want to date him when I first met him. I would love to meet people, when we got married, our priest doing it was it was a joke to everyone because I hated him. When I first met him, I thought he was just terrible, but we became friends and things moved on from there, so I'm used to all of it.
I'm glad that was you. Okay. Any other questions? Not, all right, what would you like us to know about you that we haven't, that you think is important? That we haven't really asked a question about?
I just think similar to everyone else, I use the library in so many different ways. And so to be able to participate in the library in some way is very exciting. I have 3 young children. They're 1.5, 3.5, and 6.
Okay.
And so I can think of things like when Emily was doing the virtual story time during the height of the pandemic when we first moved here and getting to pull up on Zoom for my daughter to listen to the classes and do the whole thing, just how much that has meant. Or I'm signed up for the watercolor class at the end of July, which is super exciting. So how much I appreciate, it's not even about me, it's just how much I want to tell all of you that I appreciate how well-rounded our library is and how much it provides for everybody of all different ages and languages and backgrounds.
Great, thank you. Okay, anybody have any other questions or?
Appropriate one to me.
Say that?
Appropriate questions.
Well, so if we'll excuse you and then we'll have a little discussion. We have to make a recommendation to the city council. And then the city council is the one that actually votes and appoints you to the board. And right now, we will do a recommendation to the city council on our decision. So we'd ask you to step outside for a little while. And
I'll just say that you're welcome to, I mean, it's a public meeting, so it's your option, but you can be excused. Or you can awkwardly sit here while people talk about you. I mean, it's really your choice. But we typically excuse the candidates
Yeah.
and do a discussion. And then I could let the person know later tonight, since tomorrow's a holiday.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds great.
So we'll, have Robin, we'll let you know our decision.
Yeah.
And I wanna thank each of you for your interest. And you know that we'll only, be able to choose one, but, there'll be other openings. In fact, my
Now,
own story is, I had to serve some volunteer time because Bridget and I were both there, but. And she had her, and she got elected over me, but I stepped at it, finally.
Yeah.
Finally won them over, so really appreciate the interest that you have in the library and,
And things change too. I mean, somebody could decide that, move or something, and then there'd be a sooner opening.
Remember that?
right?
I remember that, cause I was on the board when we brought in
Right,
Bridget.
right.
And now I remember.
You were-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
So that's all I wanna make sure that, again, thank you and, I feel that we have 4 outstanding candidates and it'll be a very difficult decision. But, thanks
Yeah.
again for your application and, we appreciate your support of the library.
Thank you for the,
Thank you.
yeah, thanks for the
Thanks.
opportunity and really appreciate it.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
It was fun.
If you care.
Oh, yeah, I think.
I'm gonna just follow them, cause I'm gonna, I think
Okay.
at this point, I'm safe to lock the door.
So-
since we
Thank
haven't
you.
had any,
Hi, feeling a little better and,
It feels weird to be discussing candidates when it's a public meeting.
But
You know?
that's, I'm having trouble with that too.
Yeah, that feels weird.
And I was gonna bring that up, when Robin comes back, cause I
Yeah.
don't know how to do that. To me.
I don't either. This is a first for me.
Yeah.
What's your thought on that?
Well, I typically, I don't know how I have missed being an ex officio for the library, but I think this is only my second or third ex officio meeting for
Uh-huh.
the library. So I don't know what the typical procedure is, but I would say, my preference would be an executive session, right? So that you can speak freely and, debate who the best city candidate might be, but I also respect the
Well, I don't think
procedures
we've
that the
ever had
library has.
these
I,
public meetings for our,
Not-
has not been going on that.
and he
That'd
said
be
because
years,
it's a
so.
discussion for a
don't
decision
know.
item, that it has to be public. You know
Okay,
what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah,
we were just discussing that and.
And you were
having-
saying she's surprised it's not an executive.
Well, Bill,
Says-
I asked Bill earlier today and he said that because he said it had to be open and optional.
It just seems
But I don't
weird.
know that, maybe I should have asked Lori, but I think Lori was.
Yeah, I
for
just-
today.
yeah, I don't, it just feels,
Doesn't feel right.
Lori,
Yeah, I
I
didn't-
don't feel open.
No, I don't either. I don't think I can speak for you.
no, I think maybe we should postpone or can we postpone our vote or our discussion? We've had the interviews. This is just, again, before we have done it, and I didn't think of this, that I thought we would go into executive session.
Me too.
And my mistake by not asking, but before we didn't record, we didn't have Zoom. We
Right.
didn't, and
Right.
so this is, I'm very uncomfortable. Doing this.
I can
like
try to
this.
ask Lori.
Yeah,
Would
but
you
I
please?
think
Cause it just
we
doesn't
didn't-
seem, I can't imagine any place where you have the
mean-
discussion of the
about people,
candidates.
candidates,
I
That
mean,
is
executive
public.
sessions are still recorded, but they're not posted.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
So
That's
should,
fine.
it
so
should-
could we record it for the record and then, but not post it to the public?
But right now we could, well, these are the people, what,
It's
how about you,
different.
Larry and Ally? What are your thoughts about this?
I think executive session's the only way we can't really, it would be we would open ourselves up to a lot of criticism if we did it. In a
Yeah.
public meeting.
Yeah, you think executive, if I heard you right, you believe that executive session is appropriate, right?
Yes.
Yes.
What about you, Ally?
I feel more comfortable doing it that way, yeah. And I know, I mean, I was appointed before things changed, but I remember stepping out and the door closed behind me, and I was not privy to any of the information because I had to interview twice as well.
Yeah, I know, same with me, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, even just recently I stepped out.
All right, I'm
Yeah.
asking
Yeah.
Lori, real quick. If she,
I don't really understand why it should be recorded, but
yeah, sorry, I tried to find this out in advance but I should have asked the city recorder instead of.
Yeah, I just assumed it would be an executive session.
That's my assumption.
Yeah, and I apologize for not asking for
well, you still can't get off the board, so
it.
you're stuck.
Your next meeting is July 16th, is that right?
Yeah. But, I mean, there's no reason we can't call a special board meeting too.
Yeah,
And I mean, and we can do it on Zoom. And in executive session like that, I mean. I'm not so worried about I mean, that, I think we would all. Spend that time on Zoom. But I think that we're all really uncomfortable doing
Mhm.
this in a public thing, and so. If we can't get an answer tonight, I would say that we postpone the
I
discussion. Until we get clarification of the rules that we must follow for public meetings today, in today's world.
And we'd have to let the candidates know too that we are postponing it because we told them that we would let them know tonight.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we sure to do that, good point, Larry, thank you.
Well, I should have mixed feelings. Cause you are right. I mean, we gotta follow our rules.
Yeah, I mean,
At the same time, I go, you know what, we could just close the meeting out. Have our discussion. We could Zoom it
Yeah.
as a separate section, as a separate,
yeah.
meeting, little
Meeting,
recording,
yeah.
separate
I
recording.
wanna make
and
sure,
then come out of executive session and then broadcast it.
yeah, but I wanna make sure we're following the law.
Yeah.
Right,
The
yeah,
public-
absolutely.
And we're living by our bylaws and what we need to do, but right now, I'm not comfortable. Discussing it, yes.
Can you
Yep.
refresh oh, go ahead, Larry.
I was gonna say, can we take care of the counselor's time by continuing with the agenda until we get an answer?
I was thinking
Yeah,
the same
we can
thing.
do that.
Yeah, good idea.
Lori is texting me back and I may be checking.
You had a question?
My question was just, could you refresh my memory, what the process looked like, a couple months ago? Or was it reappointment for you and, Ms.
Ally.
Pollock? Yes.
Yes,
Was that something that was just reappointment?
you just had to fill out our application.
Okay, so it was reappointment, it
Appointment.
it wasn't a new,
Right.
No,
okay.
No.
Just trying to think of what we had done in the past, so.
Lori says it's fine. We can say we're going into a private deliberation and stop the recording.
oh,
Okay,
That's what our city recorder said.
And you don't need to notice executive session or
I mean,
make a
it
motion to
wouldn't really
change.
matter if you noticed it or not, because nobody could be in it. You know what I mean? Like,
Totally, or we don't need to change, to make a motion to add it to the
we
agenda.
can't add anything to the agenda for our bylaws, but
so,
I honestly, I mean,
okay, what
I
did?
think we're doing our best here.
What did Lori say?
Lori said we can stop the recording
Okay.
and we can say we're going into a private deliberation, we can stop the recording. And then we can start the recording again when you're done deliberating.
Okay.
And
So as,
and then I can take basic notes that won't be made public.
yeah, so as a chairman, we're gonna enter a private session, and when we're through with our private session. We will start recording again. But until that time,